Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to Mental Wellness for the Culture. I am Belinda Gordon-Battle, your host for Mental Wellness for the Culture. I'm so excited to be here today as a partner with the Pi Delta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, located in Miami, Florida. This collaboration is one of the 40 acts of impact that the Pi Delta Omega chapter is providing in celebration of 40 years of continuous service to all mankind. I thank President Keandra Cherry and all members of Pi Delta Omega chapter for aligning with mental wellness for the culture to make sure mental health and mental wellness is in the forefront of the work that we do. Thank you also to the culture for providing this platform that allows us to continue to serve. I'm excited to know that members of Pi Delta Omega chapter, members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, women that lead and women that serve are here today to learn about joy. I decided at the beginning of this year to make joy a platform for mental wellness for the culture and the work that I do. Joy is such an important part of our life that we often have to be reminded to find joy, to maintain joy, to work joy into our daily being. So I reached out to two of the most amazing women that I know that can provide more insight, more guidance, more direction in this work. I am going to allow them to introduce themselves, but please know this hour will be worth the wait. I'd like to welcome Enardra Pugh from Growing New Potential Counseling and Lacriscia Folks from Rooted in Love and Truth and Sawubona Healing. Please, Janadra, who I call Gigi, so excuse me if it doesn't come out exactly right, but I do call her Gigi. Please share with our audience who you are, what you do, and how this relates to joy.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Enardra Pugh. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. I'm licensed in Maryland and Virginia, and I'm the owner of Growing New Potential Counseling, which has been in business. This year makes 4 years of the business being in business. I work with adults who present with issues such as depression and anxiety, interpersonal issues, and trauma. And I have to throw in there that I'm also a legacy of I'm my mother's legacy of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I was initiated in spring 22 as a part of Gamma Lambda Omega chapter in Lawrenceville, Virginia. And I'm honored to be here today, not only with my sisters, but on the mental wellness for the culture platform. And so I'm excited to be here because joy is something that I like to experience every day. I work with my clients and helping them to navigate joy and cultivate joy in their own lives. So it's a pleasure to be on this platform today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, she is a homegirl of mine. And earlier this year, I did see something where you said joy was a priority for you. So I'm so glad we're able to spend this time together. What about you, Lucretia?
Good afternoon, Lacriscia folks. Rooted in Love and Truth is almost 10 years old. And Sawubona Healing, I started as a nonprofit so I could do education work for people that need guidance as to what meditation modality would serve them best. And all modalities serve us all differently at different times of our lives. So I'm excited to be here with you all today, celebrating with you all your 40th year here in South Florida. Just being a part of the culture, right? Of understanding where our mental health is, what joy means to us. For me, joy has definitely been um, an active process to drown out my pessimism that I probably have had all my life, right? So having joy as a construct and active listening and activity in my life has truly come forward.
Absolutely. I love that. It is a lifetime process. Women of color, we have the highest level of stress in the United States of America. And I dare say it may be across the continent, it may be across the globe that we carry a higher level of stress. Joy is not selfish, it is a mental wellness strategy. And as part of that strategy, I wanted you to share, Lacriscia, about breath work and just give us a few tips, things that we can actually do right now, today, in our workspace, in our homes, that can help develop that breath that can help lead to internal joy.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. I think part of today is truly making sure that you know that you can have joy in your life at any point. So I want everyone to kind of gently close your eyes if you're able to, and just listen to the sound of my voice if you have that space to, or lower your gaze and just take a deep breath in, filling in your belly, filling in your lungs, and slowly letting that out. I want you to imagine what joy feels like in your body in this moment. And just see where it lands. If it's in the crown of your head, or do you feel it all over your body? Is it like seeing lightning bugs during the summertime, or relaxing on the beach? Or maybe it is skiing down a mountain on your favorite mountaintop in the winter. That joy that simply comes from within, taking in a deep breath and letting it out. Breathing in through your nose and slowly blowing it out of your mouth like you're blowing out of a straw. Thinking of joy and what today means to you. Just being alive, being able to tell your story, embrace your story, and truly move through life as we see it today. You are the greatest gift that joy has ever found. And you spread that to your families, to your sisters, to the world around you every day. You are the embodiment of joy and love and comfort for many. Taking in a deep breath, slowly letting it out, and just slowly wrap your arms around you, feeling your embrace of a hug, that joy that resides deep down that this world cannot take away. You are being seen in this moment, at peace, in your love, surrounded by the joy that innately comes from just your existence, and the gift above all. You can slowly relax your arms, feeling that embrace and the joy inside of your body. You can slowly open your eyes, feeling all the joy that God has promised you in this moment. Thank you, Bonita. I hope that gives us an intro to what joy truly feels like in our bodies. I think we disconnect so often from what the feeling of joy is, because we're so inundated with all the stuff that we have in life. But I hope everyone was able to feel that joy in their body in this moment.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that moment. And those are moments that we can have in our space at work, even if you have to go into the restroom and close the door and take that minute to ground yourself and re identify with your joy. I have a few people laughing right now because you call me Bonita, but
Oh,
everybody knows that Bonita is my sister. Everybody knows that, and I love that because I find joy in knowing that people often get us mixed up, and it's funny
yes.
to us.
Because
So
y'all both sound alike, just like
we
me and my
do,
twin.
we
Y'all
do
do.
sound alike, except for we're not twins. But we do sound alike. I love it. I love it. I think she's on listening somewhere, so I know she is laughing. And I
Yeah,
saw Gigi start to laugh too when you said it.
I'm
But
gonna
those
get it
type
right.
of things bring us joy. It's internal, it's renewable, it's maintenance. I feel like joy is maintenance, and we could find it in laughter. We could
Yeah.
find it in our common shared spaces. And that is what's more important than anything else, is that we find that inner state of meaning, that emotional well-being. And joy can exist when you're stressed, when you're in grief, when you are fatigued. Joy can exist when you know you have multiple responsibilities and you're challenged. But we can always take the joy from inside and make it work for us on the outside. Talk to me a little bit, Janardra, about joy and what you can share with our audience about joy.
So when you first invited me on this panel, the first thing or the first statement that came to my mind was an old statement that people say is, "This joy that I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away." So
Absolutely.
two snaps.
Yes.
So the thing that came up for me with that statement was that joy is not tangible. It's an inner feeling that we feel within ourselves. It's greater than happiness because happiness is very temporary or conditional to
Mhm.
the state or the thing or the person. But
Right.
joy is very enduring. It's not a gift. It's not something that I can have today and it be gone tomorrow.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
it's rooted in just alignment and values and gratitude and connection and basic contentment. Like you said earlier, you can have joy even in the most saddest moments, and you can have joy in even the greatest happiest moments, but it's internal and it's not tangible.
Absolutely. It's internal and it's not tangible. And it's, I think sometimes that we lose sight of that. We think that happiness must be joy when happiness is actually an external construct.
Absolutely.
We think that pleasure is joy, but pleasure is actually tapping into your sensory skills or things that bring you a sense. Um, and that's temporary also. But joy is something that's, it's not selfish, it's not resistance, it is restoration. It is a strategy for you to maintain your mental health and your mental wellness. How do we reclaim that? How do we make sure that in the world that we're living in today, because there's so much going on, if we just count today, from the time we went to sleep last night until we woke up this morning, things in the world changed. How do we make sure that we maintain our joy in this world today? And that's for Lacriscia.
Okay, I think part of maintaining joy is to recognize the feeling in our body first, right?
Mhm.
And then also the world has significantly changed from the time we laid our heads down to the time we woke up this morning. And
Yes.
part of that is understanding that the world will continue. And it is our duty to ourselves to seek joy in a way that is unimaginable to other people. Many people do not understand how, uh, for example, my father's birthday is coming up, and we lost him in 2010, and his death was 3 days before my best friend got married. But we went to the wedding. Me and my siblings went to the wedding, and still felt utter all the joy of being at a wedding, experiencing the wedding, and people just do not understand. Like, how did y'all do that? It is
Mhm.
because the world don't give it and the world can't take it away, right?
Right.
That value that comes through our Christianity, truly, I heard that all my life. right? And until that moment, I didn't understand it fully, but it
Yes.
truly is taking every moment by moment.
I
Yes,
love that.
I can have joy right now,
Hmm.
and I can be pissed off 2 minutes later. I won't.
Absolutely.
That won't happen on this podcast,
No.
but it truly in life, we have to define where our joy shows up and how it shows
Hmm.
up, and it
Yes.
shows up every time we walk in the room.
Hmm.
So if you
Hmm.
have that energy and you bring that energy with you, it is going to be present.
Absolutely. Joy is going to be present if you allow it to be present. And sometimes you do go through those moments, but they're temporary moments.
Yeah,
And you
and
have to remind yourself
we
that
don't
it's a
always think they're
temporary thing.
temporary.
No, we don't, but we know for a fact that the world keeps going, so we know it's temporary. Sometimes I like to just talk about what blocks us, what blocks women that lead and serve from claiming, maintaining their joy. And one of the things I always think about, and you could share some things that you think are joy blockers, and even in the chat, if you agree, one of the things that blocks our joy is that we feel responsible for everyone and everything. It has to be done this way, or it
Absolutely.
can't be done.
Absolutely.
And when you feel that amount of responsibility for everyone and everything, do you think that can block your joy? Do you think that they could lead to a place where you do not receive and create joy? Janadra.
I absolutely agree with that because when we are taking on so much responsibility, sometimes we neglect ourselves. And so we become products of producing for everything and everyone else that we sometimes don't take a step back, like Lacriscia was saying, and focus on our inner selves because we got responsibility, we have tasks, we have deadlines, we have to get it done, or else sometimes we can fall into an all or nothing state of mind and not
Yes.
giving ourselves that intentionality to stop and say it's not about them right now, let me take
Right.
5 minutes back for myself.
Yes. Yes. I know for me, for a fact, every once in a while, I like to have a little piece of chocolate. Now, I have a house full of young people, and I'm a caregiver. And if I leave that little piece of chocolate out that I know I want for myself, it will be gone. And then I'm what? I'm upset because my little piece of chocolate is gone. But I have to prepare for those moments for myself. I have to know to leave some out for them, give them a little bit, but I have to reserve something for myself. And I'm using chocolate as a metaphor, but it's also time, self love. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, I'm going to take my girls to get their nails done," but you don't take that time for yourself, just to read a book, to sit in peace, to take a walk. So women that lead and serve, we know that joy has to be a part of our process. But the additional things that we have to think about in blocking our joy is when we feel guilty, a guilty just about resting or having a moment of pleasure. What do you think about that, ladies? Because I know you've seen it. It may not have occurred for you, but I know you've seen it in the community that there are feelings of guilt around rest and pleasure.
I think I think it's so true. I think the nap ministry, when that came about in the during the pandemic, my friends kept telling me, Lucretia, if you don't go follow this page to understand that whatever you do, take a break and it's okay. To understand that other people felt that same way, and we need to rest. Rest is a natural part of our existence, and sometimes that happens in the middle of the day, sometimes it happens at night, but whenever it happens, we should own it and be okay with having that rest, right? It took me a long time to find joy in naps outside of being a kid. In this adult life, when I know I have another project I need to work on, it's hard to go take a nap, but that nap is so refreshing. And
Yes,
that's how I bring the joy back out in order to work on
absolutely.
projects. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
That
I think,
opportunity to rest your mind, body, and spirit is so important. Yes.
and I think with guilt, I always ask some of my clients and myself, what did you do wrong? What are you guilty about? Because guilt is about something that you've done wrong. So what is wrong with taking some time for yourself? Because as Black women, as men, some men may be on the line, we are often taught to pour to other people
Mhm.
and not pour into ourselves. So, what is wrong with pouring into yourself so that you can have the overflow be poured back into someone else? So that's
Absolutely.
kind of how I combat that guilt, or work with people or myself even to
Yeah.
understand that I'm not doing anything wrong when I set time aside for myself
Yeah.
to experience joy and other great things.
Oh, I love that. The idea of setting time to yourself. I see someone online has said, I have to schedule those moments, but those
Absolutely.
moments allow you to replenish yourself. There's a young lady online named Lynette. She says, what about the lack of balance in our lives? Does that block our joy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
Absolutely. The
sure.
lack of balance because we're doing multiple things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You ladies multitask like no other.
Child.
We do.
Ooh,
Okay.
I
Most
had
of
to
us
give
do
that
one
up
thing.
this year. In
You
order to
gave up
find my
multitasking?
joy, I have given up multitasking
Why? Why did you give up
because
multitasking?
it was not making me happy. It
Hmm.
was keeping me in the cycle of confusion at times
Hmm.
because I know I got to work on this and I got to work on that and I got to, but I'm doing all three things on my desk at one time
Yes,
and not paying real attention to one thing, and
absolutely.
can t- that can zap your energy, that
Yes.
can zap the joy that you are wanting to experience
Hmm.
even in that process. And so this year I was like, nope, I'm not multitasking
Yeah,
anymore.
I
And
love that.
yeah, so
I
that
call that the illusion of productivity. It
child,
looks like you're being very productive, but
No,
you are not present for any of those tasks that are in front of you.
yeah,
right.
And it's so important for us to be present because that allows us to create those memories of joy, reinforce those memories of joy. And our work becomes less of a burden when we are able to be productive and present in that space. What do you think about being the strong one?
Let it go.
Let it go. That's
Let it
it.
go.
Don't make me
Let it
start
go.
singing. Let it
We've been
go.
strong for too long. Strength is a powerful thing to be and to have and to do,
Yes.
but let it go. Let it go.
Yes.
Even let go of the balance. I don't use the word balance. I say I'm pivoting,
mm,
because
Mm.
I try to accommodate what it is that needs to be accommodated at the time, and quite frankly, everything can't. I can't balance everything, so I may have to say I'm spending more time here, and I'll give that other thing less time, and then it may shift, and then it may shift. So I'm working with myself to pivot and to shift versus balance everything equally, because I personally don't think I'll never be able to balance everything equally, but I do feel like I can shift and move with the flow of how I need to move, and if something gets left out, then I need to work with myself to be okay with that.
Yes, absolutely. You are giving us permission not to balance everything,
Yes.
to pivot, to be flexible, to modify as needed. And I think that we often forget that we have that power,
Mhm.
that we don't have to balance everything. I'm a caregiver, I'm a therapist, I'm a mother, I'm a member of the greatest sorority ever, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, but I'm also a member of other organizations. I'm a daughter. So I can make pivots
Yeah.
and still be present and still find joy in that work. And I don't have to be strong. Thanks, Tessa. You're right. We don't have to be strong. We can be soft. We can reach out to our sisters for support and help. And it's okay. We can find joy in that. I love that. I love that. I want us to talk about how joy can support your mental health and also your physical health. I know, Janadra, you're a very physical person. You make sure you include physical activity in your daily life. You inspire me to do more. I have a lot more to do, but you are inspiring. But one thing I've learned is that joy helps reduce chronic stress and illness. Have
Absolutely.
you found that to be the case in the work that you're doing?
I have. I am into my third year. One of the things that brings me great joy is hiking. I'm
Mm.
a third year hiker. And so with my busy schedule, I schedule my hikes.
Yes.
I have 5 hikes scheduled now. I just went on my first hike 2 weeks ago for 2026 year. And so I love getting out on the trails, not thinking about work, thinking about the difficultiness of the hike. So I go on easy hikes, moderate hikes, hard hikes. And so just allowing my body to be able to be out in the presence of nature, no inhibitions, nothing blocking me. My mind is clear. I'm feeling the air on my skin and blowing past me. I'm taking notice of the trees and the flowers and the surroundings. And
Mm.
so it's a whole five senses thing for my body because after I finished a long hike, I feel exuberated. I feel joyful. I feel free. And so just being able to give myself permission to go outside and get physical, to release some of those endorphins and some of that serotonin and bring that up, it has done has done wonders for me
Yeah,
personally, as well as going to the gym and lifting weights. I love to lift weights as well.
yeah. So getting physical,
Yeah.
being outdoors, communing with nature,
Mm-hmm.
making sure we are grounding ourselves with the earth, the real earth,
Mhm.
not TikTok, not social media, but the real earth out there in the world helps bring us joy, helps reduce stress, prevents burnout,
Absolutely.
it supports our longevity, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives us that moment that we are in control of how we move in the world.
Yeah.
Not so much that the world is in control of us, but we have more control in the world. There is joy in knowing that you have control over how you interact and engage in the world. I love that. I think that's important. I think it's something to be noted. Um, and I also want us to just talk about how do we say no, no to things that do not bring us joy. Have you considered that as an option, Lacriscia?
I think I have considered it as an option this year. It started at the end of last year. Like I'm not doing this anymore. There are levels to growing up, right? And I'm in my 40s, j- just hit my mid to late 40s, and the reality is I have hit that wall of people pleasing, not not doing things that does not bring me joy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't find joy in crowds. And of course, I do outreach for some of the work that I do, and I have to be in big places sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
I can choose when those things happen now. So
Yes.
if I know it's going to be a heavy week, I'm an introvert by nature. It's going to be a heavy week of communicating with people, and my friends say, "Hey, do you want to go out on Saturday?" My answer is going to be no. I did all my peopling during the week, so catch me
Peopling.
next weekend.
You did all your peopling during the
Yeah,
week. I
catch
love
me
that.
next weekend. I just have realized I can say no,
Mm-hmm.
and not disappoint people with my no. If they
Absolutely.
are disappointed, they should express it, and if they don't express it, that's not on me. But
Yes.
I have to protect my sanity and my space. And saying
Absolutely.
no is rewarding in these days.
It is. It is. I love Tangela is sharing that she also has begun to say no without feeling obligated to explain. There
Hmm.
is joy in that choice and realizing you can actually you have that choice.
Yeah.
You have free will and you have the choice to say no, thank you. You can say it with a smile,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
Mhm.
Find
Yeah.
somebody else to do it, and good luck with that.
Hmm. Exactly.
And keep going and preserve your own joy. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So it's a couple of things I want to make sure our audience takes home with them, take away with them. If you could just think of two things from each of you that you want the audience to be able to practice in real life,
Okay.
what are those two things that can help them create, cultivate, maintain joy?
I'll go first. I
Thanks.
think the first one is to remember to schedule it
Hmm.
because we're in a life where everything's busy, everything's going 100 miles an hour, and it's ever changing within a blink of an eye. So it's important to schedule your joy. Like I said, I have on my calendar the days I'm going hiking, and that's it. And if something else pops up, then oh well. So schedule schedule your joy and make sure that it's intentional, and that joy for me stands for it's justifiable. I don't need to justify it. It's
Hmm.
already justified. I'm taking ownership of everything that I want to create and cultivate that joy, and I'm going to take the time to yield to the joy.
Uh, that is perfect. Could you say that just once more so we could capture it in the context? In the comments, joy stands for
Justified, ownership, and yielding to it.
I know that's right.
between peopling and joy. I am very, very happy with these comments. What about you, Lacriscia? What are two things our audience can take with them?
I think finding a way to ground whatever that means for them. Um, I've been dog sitting a lot, so walking the dogs have kept me active and have also given me that space to be outside, right? If I can find a patch of grass in South Florida that does not contain dog poop, I am putting my feet in the grass. Going to the beach, finding ways to do those pieces always bring me joy, and I have to remember what brings me joy. So sometimes we need the reminder, and I would encourage the audience to do a list of what brings you joy, because sometimes we are so cluttered with life that we forget what we have enjoyed in our past. Right? You get stuck in routines that you are doing today, but 20 years ago you might have truly enjoyed painting or just drawing stick figures. Whatever that is, we have to recall those memories in order to find joy these days. And sometimes you got to take it back to childhood. So if I had some nieces and nephews, I'd probably be making mud pies today. But just the memory this weekend, because I was trying to think of what brought me joy in the past, just thinking about creating mud pies with my siblings outside during the summertime was always joyful. But maybe that's what I need to do as an adult. Go stick my hand in some mud and be glad about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going back into those memories of your childhood and pulling out what worked for you at that time is so meaningful and so valuable. And we often forget that that is it. We don't always have the best experience as children, but you do have at least one or two memories that you can pull to say, oh, I felt good that day.
Mm,
Someone said something, someone did something, and it created a spark in me that day. For
Absolutely.
me, I want us to always remember the small pleasures. Just take a moment to have a cup of tea and allow yourself to actually allow the tea to to become a ritual for you,
mhm,
to let it steep,
Yeah.
to taste it with honey or to taste it with sugar. Try different types of tea. Go outside and touch water and allow the sun to touch you.
Hmm.
and we get so much from the sun.
Absolutely.
It's so underrated. And I've had friends that have lived in South Florida that has a vitamin D deficiency. We're not getting enough sun. We're too busy in front of our computers and on our phones inside our houses. We need to go outside and soak up the naturalness of the sun and what it can do for our lives.
Absolutely. We have to do that. So, last but not least, I do want our audience to just get to know the both of you a little better. And we're going to have like a quick run of questions if you're open to it.
Yeah.
And you just respond quickly off the top of your head. Don't feel any pressure. Just give us a moment of laughter because you know I'm going to laugh. So, when we talk about joy and we talk about childhood joy, and you shared your mud pies already, but Gigi, what's the childhood memory of yours that brings you joy?
I was in ballet, so taking ballet classes, even when I was not in the ballet classes, having my friends come over and we would make up dances to songs and choreograph dances. That
Yes,
was really what brought me joy as a kid. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I was also in ballet classes, and I still have relationships with the ballerinas that were in that class with me. And whenever we talk, we always go back to that moment because it makes us laugh, it makes us smile, it makes us feel accomplished. We were little black girls in Virginia doing ballet.
Right.
Right?
Hello, there's
Rural
something
Virginia.
there to that.
Rural, right, rural.
Yes, yes, yes. What was your favorite time with your mothers or your grandmothers or the elders in your community when it came to joy when you were growing up?
I think for me, I go to my aunt. I used to sneak over to her house. She lived next door to us. And I used to sneak over and go have coffee with her in the morning. I'm like 7 or 8 years old doing this, but it still brings me joy today. Like
Yes,
just the idea that I could sneak out the house, one, but I knew I was going someplace safe next door,
yeah.
and she would just make the perfect cup of coffee. So
Ooh,
that's
I
my
love
age.
that.
Yeah. I
I
think
love
going to my grandmother's house, my maternal grandmother is deceased, but going to her house always brought me joy. My paternal grandmother is still alive, so
that.
even at the age I am, going to her house, always being fed at both of their homes, making sure we ate, we took a nap, we sat out on the porch, we had conversation, and like people say, kids no don't get the opportunity to sit out on the porch and string beans anymore with their grandparents. So doing that brought me joy.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. I like what you're saying about spending that time, that quality time, talking, listening, being in the space with people that love you can bring you joy. I see Kamala Sands. She also said spending time with my grandmother rolling newspapers.
Mm.
It reminds me of when I would hop in the car with my grandmother to sell Avon.
Yes.
Mm.
Gigi, I've been to your grandmother's house selling Avon.
She
I
uses
probably
Ava.
went to your house, Lacriscia, too. Did you know
Right.
Yep.
selling Avon? But
It's
the
a
reason we're
classic.
smiling and laughing is because there's a place of joy there for
Yeah.
us, and we have to maintain joy. It has been a joyful experience for me to have both of you. This is our second time together.
Yeah.
No, me and Gigi have been together 3 times. Lacriscia and I have been together 2 times now.
Hmm.
And it's always a joy. It's important for me to always be connected to other women that are involved in the work of mental health and wellness that look like me, that sound like me, and especially are willing to work with the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Whether you're a member or not, the collaboration is what is so important. And that's the part that brings us joy, that we know our community is in need and that we are willing to step outside of our daily life to make sure our community is able to hear these words, to affirm them, and to let our community know that joy is within their reach. My name is Belinda Gordon-Battle. I'm the host of Mental Wellness for the Culture. I am so appreciative to the members of Pi Delta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for bringing this moment to the world. 40 acts of impact will continue. We look forward to you being a part of that. And thank you again to the culture. And we will see you next time. Count it all joy. Thank you.